Opening a marriage is a decision that requires careful deliberation and mutual agreement, yet sometimes the consequences are unpredictable. This is my story, a tale of love, mistakes, and the chaos that followed. Melissa and I had been married for 10 years. Our life together was stable, predictable, and, if I'm being honest, a bit too routine. One evening, as we shared a quiet dinner, she dropped a bombshell. "Jake," she began, her voice hesitant, "I've been thinking." "That sounds ominous," I joked, trying to lighten the mood. But her serious expression made my smile fade. "I love you," she said, her eyes searching mine. "But I feel like we've settled into a rut. I think we should consider opening our marriage." I stared at her, unsure if I had heard correctly. "Opening our marriage?" "Yes," she said, her tone firm but tinged with nervousness. "I've been reading about it. It's not about replacing you or what we have. It's about freedom, about experiencing more of life." My stomach churned. I'd never imagined us needing something more. Still, I couldn't dismiss her outright. I loved Melissa, and her happiness mattered to me. "Let's talk about it," I said, though every word felt like stepping into uncharted territory. Weeks of discussions followed. We set ground rules: honesty, no secrets, and always prioritizing each other. Melissa was thrilled when I finally agreed. She dived in first, meeting a man named Ryan. He was charming, witty, and, from what I could tell, everything she found exciting. I watched from the sidelines, trying to suppress my jealousy. When Melissa encouraged me to explore too, I reluctantly agreed. That's when I met Elena. She was an artist, vibrant and full of life. From the moment I saw her, something clicked. Our coffee dates turned into long conversations under the stars. Her laughter was infectious, her touch electric. With Elena, I felt alive in ways I hadn't in years. Melissa noticed the change in me. "You're really into her, aren't you?" she asked one evening, her tone light but her expression serious. "Yeah," I admitted. "She's amazing. She's helped me rediscover parts of myself I'd forgotten." Her face fell, though she tried to hide it. I didn't realize then how much those words would haunt us both. As my relationship with Elena deepened, Melissa's with Ryan fizzled out. She confessed one night, tears streaming down her face, "I think we made a mistake. Opening our marriage. It's tearing us apart." "Melissa," I began, guilt and confusion flooding me, "you're the one who wanted this." "I know," she sobbed. "And I was wrong. I want us back. Just us." But could we go back? I didn't know. My feelings for Elena were real. She brought a vibrancy to my life that I couldn't ignore. Yet, I couldn't imagine life without Melissa. The turmoil consumed me, affecting my work, my sleep, and my sanity. Elena and I shared moments that felt like a movie: slow dances in her studio to soft jazz, kisses that lingered as if the world had stopped turning, and stolen weekends where every sunrise felt like a new beginning. She painted a portrait of me once, capturing an essence I'd forgotten I had. Her passion was a fire that ignited my own. Meanwhile, Melissa and I tried to hold on to the threads of our relationship. One evening, she surprised me with a candlelit dinner at home. The scent of lavender filled the air, and she wore the dress I'd always loved. As we ate, she reached across the table, taking my hand in hers. "Jake, do you remember when we first fell in love?" she asked, her eyes glistening. "Of course," I said, squeezing her hand. "I'll never forget." She smiled, bittersweet. "I want that back. I want us back." Her vulnerability broke something in me. After dinner, we danced in the living room, the music barely audible over the pounding of my heart. In that moment, it felt like we were rediscovering each other, piece by piece. Then came the night everything imploded. Ryan showed up at our apartment drunk and angry. He pounded on the door, shouting accusations. When I opened it, he shoved past me, yelling, "You think you're better than me? Stealing her back. Melissa appeared, her face pale. "Ryan, please, just go," she pleaded, but he wouldn't listen. He lunged at me, and we grappled, knocking over furniture. Melissa screamed as chaos erupted. Suddenly, Elena appeared, drawn by the noise. Without hesitation, she grabbed a vase and smashed it near Ryan's feet, shouting, "That's enough." The sound startled Ryan, giving me the opening to push him away. Moments later, the police arrived, diffusing the situation. The drama didn't end there. In the days that followed, the tension between Melissa and me reached a boiling point. One evening, she confronted me in the kitchen, her eyes blazing. "Do you even love me anymore, Jake?" she demanded. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. "Of course I do," I shot back. "But this situation, it's tearing me apart." "It's not just the situation," she said, her voice cracking. "It's her. It's Elena. You're in love with her, aren't you?" I didn't know how to respond. Silence hung heavy between us, speaking volumes. Melissa stormed out, slamming the door behind her. That night, I found myself at Elena's studio, seeking solace. She looked at me with those piercing eyes, reading the turmoil in my soul. "Jake, you have to figure out what you want," she said, her voice firm but gentle. "I can't be your escape. Not like this." The breaking point came during a family gathering. Melissa's mother, sharp-eyed and no-nonsense, pulled me aside. "What's going on with you two?" she asked. "Melissa's not herself, and neither are you." Her words brought my inner turmoil to the surface. I broke down, confessing everything. The weight of my choices, the love I felt for both women, and the guilt that threatened to consume me. When Melissa and I returned home that night, the air was thick with unspoken words. Finally, I turned to her and said, "We need to make a choice. This can't go on." In the aftermath, the three of us sat in stunned silence. "I can't do this anymore," I finally said. "This chaos, this pain. It has to end." Melissa nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, Jake." Elena looked at me, her voice soft but firm. "Jake, I love you, but I can't be part of something that tears you apart. You need to decide." I made my choice. I chose Melissa. Ending things with Elena was one of the hardest decisions of my life, but I knew it was the right one. Melissa and I began the slow, painful process of rebuilding. We attended therapy, learned to communicate better, and promised to never let unresolved issues fester again. There were nights when we stayed up late, talking until the early hours, rediscovering each other's dreams and fears. One evening, as the rain pattered against the windows, Melissa curled up beside me on the couch. She placed her hand on my chest and whispered, "I'm so glad we found our way back to each other." I kissed her forehead, my heart full. "Me too," I said. Years later, we still talk about that chapter of our lives, not with regret, but as a reminder of the strength we found in each other. Opening our marriage tested us in ways we never expected, but in the end, it brought us back to what mattered most, our love.